According to an order paper question response, there are up to 112,000 people illegally on Canadian voter lists. Even worse, Elections Canada hasn't even examined what the implications were on the last election of having all those illegal voters on the voter rolls. Justin Trudeau's Liberals are doing a lot of talking about all the extreme measures they are going to take to protect Canada's electoral integrity in the lead up to the 2019 fall election. Now, according to the Post-Millennial, Liberal Minister of Democratic Institutions, Karina Gould, suggested in Le Journal de Montréal that the federal government is not ruling out the possibility of shutting down social media platforms unwilling to comply with its latest election interference demands. Recently, the federal government has called upon social media giants like Facebook, Google, Twitter, and others to comply with a declaration of electoral integrity intended on preventing any foreign interference in the upcoming federal election. Now, friends, so far, Facebook and Google have bent over to the state-sanctioned censorship demands of the Liberals. Oddly enough, though, Twitter has resisted, prompting the Liberals' threat to block the company out altogether, North Korea style, during the election. That all seems tyrannical and heavy-handed, especially given what we now know about the actual threats to our elections' integrity and possible foreign meddling that the Liberals have failed to address during their 4 years in power. An order paper question asked by Alberta Conservative MP Blake Richards shows us just how serious the Liberals really are about protecting Canadian elections. The answer is that it might be just too much work for them. Here's the question. With regard to the approximately 103,000 non-citizens who were found to be on the National Register of Electors illegally, how many voted in the 42nd general election in 2015? How many voted in each of the 338 electoral districts in the 42nd general election in 2015? How many voted in any federal by-election held since October 20th, 2015? And what is the breakdown by each riding where a by-election has been held? Hang on here, 103,000 non-citizens were on the National Register of Electors? That's shocking, really, more than the population of Red Deer, Alberta. Now, the response back from the Ministry of Democratic Institutions is even more troubling. Here's what we know from the response. That 103,000 number is actually much higher. It's actually 112,000. And Elections Canada says they're taking steps now to remove these names in advance of the 2019 general election. Will they all be removed by then? Who really knows? Now, as far as the 2015 election, cross-referencing voters to immigration, refugees, and citizenship data to detect fraud has barely just begun. The idea to cross-reference the data only occurred to somebody in April of 2019, 6 months out of a federal election. That's pretty weird since the Liberals have been threatening Facebook about the election for over a year now. I guess actual voter fraud was low on the list of elections issues for the Liberals. Now, according to the ministry, once this work is completed, any instances of non-citizens who may have committed an offense by knowingly voting in the general election will be referred to the Commissioner of Canada Elections, who may then choose to investigate further. Well, that's certainly not a promise to prosecute, even though it is absolutely illegal for a person to vote when they know they are not qualified to do so. But let's go on, because here's the really, really bad part. The response also says, it is important to note, however, that Elections Canada has access in digital format to approximately 30% of all votes cast. A complete review of the voting records would require Elections Canada to examine more than 68,000 poll bags from the 2015 general election alone. This would be a massive undertaking at a time when the agency is focusing on the delivery of the 2019 general election. Hang on here. This is literally the one real job of Elections Canada, to ensure the actual votes cast are legal votes cast by people allowed to be casting them. Elections Canada hasn't done that with the last election in 2015, even after being fully aware of some 112,000 people wrongfully on the voter list. And Elections Canada openly admits to having no idea what the consequences of all those illegal voters are. They simply just haven't done the work we pay them to do. We don't know if those people cast votes, and if they did, where they were cast. We don't know anything. It's apparently too much work to figure it out now, so close to the election, after Elections Canada just had 4 years to do their jobs and get to the bottom of all this illegal voter mess. How can Canadians trust this bureaucracy to ensure they get it right this time? In my humble opinion, the Liberals' so-called measures to protect the integrity of Canadian elections really aren't going to do anything to protect the election, especially when the government has so many other tangible things they could and should have already been doing to make sure the election is fair and legal. I think every time the Liberals say the phrase protecting elections integrity, we can just substitute it for the word censorship. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. In the lead up to the 2019 federal election, I have a little project. I want to tell the world about what a fake feminist Justin Trudeau is. If you go to fakefeminist.com, you can see my video detailing how much of a fake feminist Justin Trudeau is, and you can pitch in to my plan to drive around a billboard truck with images of how much a fake feminist Justin Trudeau really is. That's at fakefeminist.com.